In this video, Michael Saylor, CEO of MicroStrategy, will discuss how Bitcoin is the solution to a range of challenges facing individuals and companies worldwide. He will explain why MicroStrategy chose Bitcoin as its primary treasury reserve asset and how this decision has transformed the company. Saylor will delve into the unique properties of Bitcoin, such as its scarcity, security, and decentralized nature, which make it an ideal store of value in an uncertain economic landscape. He will also address common concerns and misconceptions about Bitcoin, including regulatory risks and market volatility. By sharing MicroStrategy's journey and his own insights, Saylor will illustrate how Bitcoin can serve as a powerful tool for financial resilience and innovation in today's rapidly evolving digital world. Don't forget to like this video. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and allows us to create more content like this for you. Subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions and expert analyses, including top stocks to buy for an asymmetrical risk-to-reward ratio. Comment down below if you agree with Michael Saylor and let us know what you'd like to see or hear about next. Your feedback is invaluable.
We declared to the world that we thought this was going to be our primary treasury reserve asset, right? This is the way we're going to run our treasury. And that was a brand new idea. There's 43,000 public companies, and we were the first one to say, let's not put your capital in bonds or cash or just give it away. Let's invest the capital in this new liquid asset, this crypto asset called Bitcoin. When we did that, the stock doubled, and we raised another $650 million. Mm-hmm. And then the stock went up again, and we raised $1 billion. And we raised $1 billion about 6 months after this initiative in a convertible debt offering at 0% interest. So we borrowed $1 billion at 0% interest for about 6 years, I think. Yeah. And we went to buy Bitcoin with it. So at that point, we had said, not only do we think we're going to invest our free cash in Bitcoin, we're going to go ahead and we're going to borrow money to buy Bitcoin. And while we were doing it, other public companies like Square and then Tesla started buying Bitcoin. And then all these Bitcoin miners came public. And so from 2020 to 2024, that was the crazy years of uncertainty. People weren't sure. Will Bitcoin be banned? Will it be copied? Will it be hacked? Is it a long-term thing? The skeptics thought, well, maybe, some people, the deniers said, it's just tulip bulbs. Other people, skeptics said, oh yeah, it's really good. It's better than gold, but it's too good to be true. And so the government's going to take it away from you. And at one point, China banned Bitcoin mining, and that created a crisis. And then they banned Bitcoin trading, and that created a crisis. So a lot of uncertainty there. But our belief was Bitcoin is the solution to 8 billion people's problem. It's the solution to 300 million companies' problem. It's the innovation, the biggest innovation in money or property rights in the history of the human race. It's like fire or electricity, right? It's this new monetary protocol which is going to elevate humanity to new levels. So we became obviously very big advocates. We raised $500 million in a senior debt issue to buy more Bitcoin. Then we sold $1 billion of equity to buy Bitcoin. Then we sold another, then we borrowed money against Bitcoin to buy Bitcoin. Then we issued more equity to buy Bitcoin. If you fast forward through the 4 years, as of today, since we started, we've invested $7.5 billion in Bitcoin, which is worth any given day 14 to 15 billion. The market cap of the company went from 1 billion to 30. The enterprise value of the company went from 600 million to more than 30. And the stock 10x'd. So during that time period, the company's stock outperformed just about every stock on the S&P index. It outperformed NVIDIA and Tesla and Amazon and Apple and Google and Facebook. It outperformed Bitcoin itself. And it's not very often that you 10x a stock, 20x a market cap, 40x the enterprise value in 44 months. Right. So we took a particular position, which is Bitcoin is a good strategy. It's good for the world, and we're not going to be shaken. And while that was happening, obviously Bitcoin, when we bought it at 11,800, it crashed down into the 9,000. So we took like a $40 million hit in the first week or 2 weeks. So it was very stressful losing 40 million of 250 million, right? It's a big thing, but we doubled down, and then Bitcoin rallied up, and it eventually rallied, went through the all-time highs and rallied to 66,000, then crashed down in the 40s, then rallied to the 66 again. And then this brutal crypto winter went from 66 all the way down to 16,000. Brutal. And then it rallied up. And so it is today where it is, and everybody's got their own Bitcoin journey, but MicroStrategy's Bitcoin journey is, we started out of desperation. It was like, do this or maybe just shutter the company. We went from, desperate defensive to opportunistic. Hey, someone wants to give us $1.6 billion for nearly free for 6 years. If I offered you $1.6 billion for free for the next 6 years to invest in anything you wanted, would you take it?
Absolutely. We asked Dave Ramsey the exact same question. He said no, he wouldn't take it.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
And you must not believe in anything, right? I mean, if you're in business and someone's offering you, in essence, free money to invest in your business for the next 6 years, and you don't want it, well, what it really means is you've run out of ideas. You don't know what to do with the capital. But, we went from the first step to opportunistic, and then it became strategic. And we realized we are a Bitcoin development company. Our job is to issue securities and to engage in technology projects and advocacy and education in order to spread, the virtues of Bitcoin and the opportunities of Bitcoin to the world.
How were you able to develop an eye to spot innovation like that before the general public?
I was a science fiction fanatic by the time I was in 3rd grade. I think my parents, they hacked me when I was in 1st grade. I had this comic book addiction, and they offered me a dime for every real book I read in some reading competition. And comic books cost 25 cents. And I calculated if I read 2.5 books, I could get a comic book. And so I read like 60, 70 books in the summer. And I'd be like reading one a day, and I got into science fiction, and I discovered all the great authors, Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke. Got very interested in that. It led me to a bit of fantasy. I'm the kind of guy who played board games, simulation games. Before we had computers to simulate them on, we had to use dice, and then I played Dungeons and Dragons, and then it got me into fantasy, and all of that's about imagination. And one of the more famous books is Have Spacesuit Will Travel by Heinlein. And in the book, the hero discovers a spacesuit, fixes it up, it's broken, barking at the sky, a spaceship lands, he gets picked up, he gallivants across the universe, saves humanity from the bug-eyed monsters, comes back. And as his reward, he gets a full tuition scholarship to MIT. And I guess it's stuck in my mind, that if you're the upwardly mobile alpha male, tech forward thinker, maybe you want to go to MIT. So I went to MIT to study spaceship design, and I was going to be an astronaut and a spaceship designer. And that brought me in touch with, some just extraordinary individuals, extraordinary professors, extraordinary students, like every one of my fraternity brothers was like an Eagle Scout, right? Like, okay, welcome. Like everybody's a valedictorian, everybody's an Eagle Scout, and they're all brilliant. And what they do for fun, they design space equipment, or they hack the phone system, or the like. And while I was there studying aerospace engineering, I stumbled on the history of science. And the history of science is all about, how did we discover immunology? How did we discover that the Earth, revolves around the sun? Like how do we get through the Copernican revolution? What's the significance of optics? Why do we stop bleeding people to death? What's the significance of nuclear power? What's the significance of Maxwell's equations, or Newtonian physics, or relativity? And, what did Madame Curie do for us? And how does the society react when you introduce a new technology, whether it's a railroad or an internal combustion engine or an airplane? And so if you look at the history of the world through a technology lens, right, then you start to see things differently. So when I came out of MIT, I had the science fiction background, I had the fantasy background, I had the history of, I always loved history in general, But then the history of science really opened up my eyes to paradigm shifts. I mean, one of the most basic principles of science is the paradigm shift. Dr. Harvey is the guy that discovered that the heart beats blood out through the arteries. It circulates back through the veins. For 10,000 years, no doctor knew what the heart did, and they didn't actually accept circulation. Harvey discovers it, and everybody in the medical profession rejects it. Like, no, we don't believe you. Now, despite the fact they could probably determine this with some experiments, but they don't believe him. And Harvey says, no physician over the age of 40 will ever believe me. Ever. Right? And then I think Max Planck had a quote. He goes, science advances one death at a time. And Thomas Kuhn says in The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, when you come up with a new paradigm shift, whether it's, the Copernican revolution, right? The universe doesn't revolve around the Earth. Your diseases aren't caused by spirits and demons, but rather by little germs and, in the blood. Or relativity that Einstein put forward, in the paradigm shift of quantum physics, which Einstein rejected, or, quantum uncertainty. Kuhn says these paradigm shifts take place only after the old guard dies or in a war. There are only two ways you get people to turn the world upside down and see a new idea. They either have to see the old guard die. We're seeing this in crypto right now. I mean, I go around and I'll meet people and they'll say, yeah, my son told me I needed to talk to you. It's like the 20-somethings, the 30-somethings, the teenagers, they all know. The 50-somethings, 60-somethings, 70-somethings, if they're hearing it from their kids. So this is a generational thing up. And I think, so I was fortunate because my advantage was I kind of had the academic grounding. I had the passion. I was always very interested in how do we invent new things with technology. I grew up in a coming of age where, there were 3 channels of broadcast television, and then in rapid succession, you got to where we are today. So, obviously some people are a little bit more, what is the word? They've got more of an inclination, an intellectual inclination to appreciate that than others. So I always had a bias toward it. And I just had some really good formative experiences and opportunities in order to feed that inclination.